Hey, what's up? How you doing? This is Big Jack Story Time. Yeah, I've been hosting shows for a year now, interviewing people, lifting up people, helping them share their stories. But recently, somebody looked me dead in my face and said, Big Jack, when are you going to tell your story? And that hit me. I've never really told my story. I've never really broke it down and said, hey, this is how Big Jack got started. I didn't share those moments with you. I mean, from the very moment that we started the Iron Sharpening Iron show, and then it just started spinning off. So I really never had the opportunity to come on and say, hey, this who Big Jack is. This is me. So I thought it's time to put the Big Jack story time story out there so that you, the people that's been viewing and supporting and been watching our shows for almost a year now, um, can really get to know who I am as Big Jack Storytime. First of all, Big Jack is a name that was given to me when I played sports, and we haven't gotten there yet. So we're going to break this thing down by chapter. It's going to be the beginning, how I was, I don't say how I was born, but from what I can remember, and even the things that was told to me from the very start. So, I mean, I want you to sit back with me. If you're in the chat, if you're watching, go ahead and drop comments and ask questions, and I'll be open to comments and questions as long as they're respectful, and that's the whole thing. We're going to be respectful with this. We're not going to be, if you're not going to be respectful to me and you're expecting me to, listen to you and say what you have to say or listen to what you have to say while I'm telling you what I have, what's going on. But that's how we're going to put the rules out. We're going to be respectful, but I'm going to be open. I'll be wide open to you, and we're going to learn about Big Jack story time. So this knowing one, I was born in the early 70s. Matter of fact, 1970 is when I was born, and I was born in a blizzard. So it was a blizzard when I was born, and my mom being a teenager when she had me. So she was, I believe, 15 years old, and she was a guest on one of my shows on the Iron Sharpening Iron shows, and she told this story. So it's not something that it's not real, but she had me at 15. So having a mom that's a teenager that's still in school, Big Jack story time. I was raised mostly by the family. They make a comment and they say a lot of times it takes a village. Well, both sides, my mom's side and my dad's side, the grandparents really stepped up for me. Now on my mom's side, it was a little challenging. Why was challenging? Because my grandfather, my mother's father, he was killed in Vietnam just a year or 2 years before I was born. So that side, I only had my grandmother. But then on my father's side, I had my grandmother and a grandfather who's both stepped up to help raise me. So that was the whole thing. Catcher was a cat chiller vlogs. Hey, how you doing? So and that was the big thing. So it was challenging for both sides because they were young. They had adult children or at least teenage children, but now comes this baby. So I am the first of my generation. I'm the first of my generation. So there was me, and I was the first one. So now on both sides is now trying to figure out how they're going to raise this kid. Now, the rule to my mom and my dad was that they both needed to make sure they finished school. So that means everybody had to step up. Everybody had to step up because my mom still had to go to school. My dad went to school. My grandparents are now taking care of me on both sides. So I remember going from one grandparent house to the other grandparent house and back and forth. I had aunts and uncles on both sides too. That everybody like stepped up. So that was huge in a sense because of the fact that um, one, I'm young, I don't know anything about it, but because I was the first, it made it different. It was a little bit different than when other people were born, my other cousins and things like that. But I was the first, and as I was growing up, I knew the difference between my mom and my dad's side of the family. Both of them was very loving. Both of them was very caring, but they had different ways of raising me, different ways of treating me or handling me as a kid. I remember I had an afro, and I'm gonna start posting. This is the first time we're doing this, so I'll start putting pictures up so that you can see these things. So I have to collect some of these pictures when I was younger and put them up. But I had an afro, and I'm talking 1970s, the big afro. If you ever seen the Jackson 5, the afros is way out here, bushy, bushy. But my grandmother on my father's side, my was it be paternal grandmother, she liked the afro blew out or picked out. We used to use a blow pick, and my hair was like boom, way out there, big high afro. But my maternal grandmother, they preferred it to be more in cornrows. So they didn't cut the hair, but it was always cornrowed up or plaited up, as people will say. So now it's like, wow. So when I go to one house, I'm getting my hair plaited. So they got cornrows going down all over my head. But then when I get to the other grandmother house, they're blowing it out. So it's like, whew. And I know for sure in those days I was tender headed. So that was for those who don't know what that means, is like it felt like they were pulling my hair out my scalp without, clippers or anything. They were just ripping it out. So, but that's where, that was the back and forth. Those are some of the things. Now, my aunts, I have on my mom's side, I got two of my aunts were like just 10, 11 years older than me. So they became like instant babysitters. They became the ones that anytime I was at my mom's, my maternal grandmother's house, they would be the ones watching me while everybody went out or did whatever they was going to do. And remember, my mom is 15 years old. She had just turned 16 a couple of months after I was born, but she still had to go to school and she still wanted to do things that high school people do. So, maybe the school dance and the proms. From what I'm hearing, I went everywhere with my mom. So they like when she was at a game, I was at a game. When she was at a pet rally, I was at a pet rally. So I was attached to the hip. But what I did remember and what was pushed out to me in the beginning was the family was very loving. It did take a village, and that the two families merged. Instead of looking at it as, look what you did to my daughter, or look what you did to my son, it was like, okay, what was done is done, and now let's move on. And what we have to do now is figure out how we're going to get this kid the best life that I can get. It wasn't easy. I mean, we wasn't rich in any kind of way. We didn't, no, neither side was, the silver spoon in the mouth and all of that stuff. But I do remember the values that both sides presented to me. And if anything, it was that don't give up. If anything, it was you can do it. If you put your mind to it, there's nothing you can't do. And even from the beginning, that's how I felt. Having those uncles and aunts who were already older and established in some ways, it gave me something to look for. It gave me something to look to. I have an aunt now that was like a super athlete. And I remember on my mom's side that I'm looking at her trophies in the trophy case and things like that. And I'm like, I'm going to one day pass her. That was like a goal. So that motivated me to get into sports and stuff like that. I had an uncle on my mom's side that was Hall of Fame in college and things like that. So that motivated me to be better, to do, if nothing else, I want to be like them. So that was a plus. That was really a plus. And then when I got on my dad's side, it was just the same. It was the same. All my uncles and my aunts, they were true athletes, real people, getting up in front of people. They didn't know a stranger on both sides. So they gave me that mindset and that attitude to be open and go out and try new things. Be proud of who I am. That's what I got from a kid. And it was 2 years before I had a cousin. So I was 2 years older than my cousins on both sides. So because of that, I was the only kid in a generation for 2 years. And it's like, wow. So I went everywhere. I went everywhere. I've done a lot of things with my parents and grandparents on both sides. But those are the things that made me who I am today. I can't remember everything that happened. Of course, I'm two, I'm three. But at the same time, the stories that were shared and the things that, I remember, it only basically just showed me how blessed I am as a person. Um, Hello, let's say, was that Tong got a coat? Okay, did I get it? If I got it right, hello and how you doing? This is Big Jack Story Time, and I'm just telling my story. I'm the host of the Iron Sharpening Iron Show. We got many spinoffs from the Iron Sharpening Iron Universe for those who don't know. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, subscribe to the channel because you will really enjoy the shows that we do. But it was mentioned to me one day that I have never shared my story. I've never told anyone about who I am. So this is what this is about. This is a set aside where Big Jack Story Time is going to tell his story. And I'm not famous. I'm not. I was never a movie star or whatever. I'm just me. But one thing it was when we do the show, and we've already been on the Iron Sharpening Iron show is over a year old, or will be a year old in January. And we've had over 75, maybe 76 different guests on the show. And because of that, we've always had a lot of people. We on the show, or we on the air live every Wednesday and every Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Matter of fact, I got a show tonight. But what I haven't done on the show was talk about me. And it's not all about me, because we got the Iron Sharpening Iron Universe where we got, spinoffs. And if you go in there, you'll see them all. So make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And because we're growing, we're going to a whole new level at the end of this year. We'll be changing the brand of this channel. It won't be called Big Jack Storytime anymore. It's going to be called the Iron Sharpening Iron Universe. And I'm excited. I really am excited about all of that. But with that being said, it's the fact that I never really told my story. I never really told who I am. And I want people to know who I am. I am a real person. I mean, I have a 9 to 5. I have a wife and I have kids. I even got grandkids now, and I'm super excited because I had one was born just a few days ago. And so those things are like true blessings to me, true blessings to my family. But with all that being said, a lot of people, when they come through the channel and come through the show, they don't know who we are. They don't know who Big Jack Storytime is. So that's what I was trying to explain, that my mom had me when she was very young, 15 years old. So a kid basically having a kid. And we grew up together. Now, she had to mature faster because she got a kid now. But at the same time, I was there with her when she, finished high school. I was there with her when she finished, her secondary education. And then I was there with her when, I'm still here with her, but just being with her when she hit a lot of different milestones. I am so proud of my mom because she has done some amazing things with the circumstances that was given to her. Some of them you can say, hey, she put that on herself. And I'm not going to, debate that with you. But she didn't, I would say, stay in her situation. Yes, I'm a teenage mom. I got a newborn baby. I got to finish school and I'm going to keep moving on. And she did those things. So I'm super excited and super proud of my mom because of all the things that she did. And the success that she had, because it only gave me, again, a platform that you too can do it. You don't have to be stuck in your situation. You don't have to be stuck in all those things that you're going through, because you can do it. You can make it. You can do whatever you put your mind to it. And that goes both ways, being successful and being unsuccessful. You can put your mind to be unsuccessful as well. You can tell yourself that you're not going to be anything, that I'm not going to make it. And guess what? 9 times out of 10, you're right. So when I try and I look at certain things, I look at it like, hey, I can do it. I can make it. I'm more than a conqueror. And I'm not here to preach to you and anything like that. I'm just telling you straight. So if you have any questions for me, and let them be respectful, I will do my best to answer any. If you've ever seen any one of our shows, the Iron Sharpening Iron show, the Battle of the Sexes, the Gentleman's Journal, the Lady's Diary, the Coach's Corner, Voices of Resilience, We Be Jamming Live. Those are all the different spin-offs from the Iron Sharpening Iron Universe. The Ask a Bee show, which is a daily show around 12 o'clock Central Time. If you've seen any of them, drop it in the comment which ones you've seen. Let me know that you're out there, because, that's how we know that we're doing our job. But at the same time, I'm Big Jack. I'm Big Jack StoryTime, and this is my story. And so growing up, I grew up in the DMV. For those who don't know what that is, that's where in Washington, D.C. area. So they call it the DMV. D, Delta, M, which is, D is district, M is Maryland, and the V is Virginia. So you got the district, Maryland, and Virginia. But when you're right there at the line where Maryland, Washington, D.C., and Northern Virginia meet, they call that area the DMV. So I grew up in the DMV. That's where I'm from. I was born in Washington, D.C., but I was raised in the DMV part of Maryland. And growing up in the early 70s, African American. And look, I'm gonna tell you this: it wasn't African American when I was born. My birth certificate say Negro, 100%. It says Negro. So those are major changes that had happened, or were happening even when I was born. Those are things that we had to go through. Now I missed a lot of it because I was a baby or young. So having the separate water fountains and entrance ways and stuff like that, I might have just missed it. You got to think Vietnam War had just ended, or was ending at that time. I believe they were still looking and trying to draft people at that time. So this is when I was born. The civil rights movement was still going on, the busing and segregation and all of that. So I was born into that. And a lot of programs, they just wasn't there for my mom, who, like I say, a young teenager. But what was there, she took advantage of. So they was offering special school so that she can learn to do, clerical work and things like that. She took advantage of that. When they offered daycare, or what they call early learning childcare. So I went to an early learning childcare, and I remember vaguely, but I remember my grandparents dropping me off at daycare, and then a different one picking me up from daycare. So it was a team effort. I'll get them there, you get them back, and it was a team effort, 100%. So with all that being said, and all that was going on at the time, you're a statistic. A lot of people already say you're not going to make it. You're going to be in jail somewhere or killed somewhere by the time you're 18, 19 years old. Why? Because you got a single mom, single parent household in a sense, and you're African American. So you were already behind the 8 ball in the beginning, even, if you want to look at it that way. But my family never looked at it that way. We never looked at ourselves as being anything less than human beings, anything less than citizens. Like I say, my grandfather was killed in Vietnam. So by him being not only a veteran of the United States Army, he was a hero to this country because he was out there fighting for this country and he served this country well to the point that he gave his life for this country. So we didn't look at it like we didn't belong. We never looked at it like it wasn't for us to be here. We were here for a reason, and because of that reason, is why we kept doing what we normally do. My family, both my grandmother and on both sides, they had their own homes. We lived in single family homes. They drove their own cars. So I didn't know the real struggle. The neighborhoods that we lived in, most people just looked like us. It was just those areas that we lived in. But it wasn't saying that it wasn't real out there. I was just too young to know that it was real. But for those who are here and hanging in, I appreciate you hanging out with me and looking in the chat and coming in the chat. I'm here just trying to share my story. It's Big Jack Story Time. This is where it all began. We had to start somewhere, right? Almost like when you first got your YouTube channel, or you maybe got one subscriber, but we all started at the same spot. We all started with zero. So this is an opportunity for me to share who I am and some of the things that I can remember and work my way the through my life. And you can say, you can ask yourself right now, and it's okay if you ask yourself this. I'm okay with that. Why do I care? Or why do I want to? You don't have to. It's more for those who have been supporting the Iron Sharpening Iron show, the Iron Sharpening Iron Universe, and the Iron Sharpening Iron Universe team. This is why I'm doing this. This is what this is all about. This is for me to let my team know, let those who have been supporting us, the members, since we've been monetized, which haven't been that long. We just crossed over and got fully monetized. This channel, meaning the Big Jack Story Time, is a little bit over a year old. I think I started in October of 2024, and now we're December of 2025. So we're a little bit over a year old, but we were able to hit the monetization marks, and we're getting ready to change the brand. So I want you to know, if you're out there and you're watching, and those who are going to watch later, the brand is going to change. We're going to change it January 1. This show, or this channel, the name is going to change. I will be moving the Big Jack Storytime name to a different channel. So I'm gonna have to start afresh. I'm gonna have to start all over with a new channel. But I'm excited about that as well. But this is me trying to make sure that I let the world know who Big Jack Storytime is. My name is not Big Jack, of course, but they started calling me Big Jack when I was playing football in high school. Bill Jackson is my name, so I have no problem sharing that. But when I ran the ball, it was like Big Jack. Here come Big Jack. And I was a running back. I was a running back in school. So we'll get there, and we'll talk more about that. Because remember, I'm trying to stay within, instead of bouncing all over the place. I want to take you on a journey with me and talk about all the things that I went through growing up. So again, I was born in a blizzard. It was a blizzard in 1970 when I was born. And without giving away my date, I can tell you this: I have a birthday coming up. It'll be here in a couple of days, and I will be a speed limit in a couple of days. So that'll give away my age right there. So I'm gonna be a speed limit. I'm not 75 or 70. I'm not 65, but that's another speed limit. And I'm definitely not 50. Not say definitely, but I've crossed the 50 mark. So think of speed limits. And if you know the speed limit I'm talking about, put it in the comment section. Go ahead and put it in the comment section if you know what speed limit I'm talking about. But that's what I'll be this year. And I'm excited about that. I really am excited about that. Because when I was born, and I can promise you, not just one or two people said he's not going to make it to 18. the deck was stacked against us. But to say that I'll be a speed limit in just a few days is a true blessing. It's a true testament to my mom and my grandparents on both sides. God rest their souls, and the family that helped me get there. Because I had a lot of aunts and uncles and all, and they all pitched in one way or another. And some have already gone on to glory, and some are still here, still working hard. I did lose my dad, but I still have my mom. And it's like, man, the blessings to be able to share and talk. Even with this, my mom 100% has to be my number one supporter in my YouTube journey. And that's amazing in itself. I really can't even remember, any episodes that she's missed. And if she has missed it, she watched the replay. So with that being said, it's just like, wow, your mom she's right there. Yes. And I love her and I appreciate that. I can tell you this, I am married and I do have kids. And part of this, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the struggles. We're going to talk about the things I went through growing up, even having depression. And I don't say I was trying to kill myself because I wasn't, but I did make myself so sick that I was in the hospital for a while, and a lot of that. So these are the things that we're going to talk about. These are things that we're going to go through. So Mexicali, what's going on, my brother? Just breaking down who Big Jack Storytime is, man. But I'm so glad that you're here hanging out with me today. One thing was brought to my attention that we do all these spinoffs and all these different shows in the universe, but I've never really shared my story of who Big Jack Storytime is. So this is just the beginning. This is just the first time I'm trying this, the first time I'm doing it. But at the same time, my plan is to take you on a ride or take you down memory lane with me, and from the beginning until where we are today. But Mexicali, true supporter. I appreciate you being out there, hanging with us. He is definitely Mexicali. For those who don't know who he is he does more of the aquatics world. They got their own community out there. Mexicali keeps fish, in the, of course, in the aquariums inside the tanks in them homes, in his home. And he has been a guest on the Iron Sharpening Iron show, been a guest on the Gentleman's Journal. And I want to say he might have been a guest on the Battle of the Sexes. I can't remember. Yeah, maybe, yes, on the Battle of the Sexes as well. So it's just those things, to have people that's going to support your channel. So, we got ready to make a big move with the universe and the Iron Sharpening Iron Universe. So if you're not already a subscriber, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you're not already following, hit that notification bell so you can see the different shows that's going to be coming up. There is a show tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, the Iron Sharpening Iron Show, every Wednesday, every Sunday. So make sure that you hit that notification bell so you'll be notified. If you're looking at my channel and it's looking all over the place, you got all this, that's because of the universe. We have multiple content creators that's now following under one network where we're working together. Because my motto, or your truth saying and the true motto is, we are stronger together. And that's was put on, and that was brought out to me even when I was a kid. Born because my two families, my mom's side and my dad's side, working together, proving that we are stronger together. It wasn't one of those, I don't know who my dad is. It wasn't it just wasn't like that. They were too young to be married, even though people suggested it. But at the same time, and thanks to Mexicali, they better than the Marvel Universe. 100% we're gonna be better than the Marvel Universe. We're gonna light it up. I'm so excited, and a lot of us have, and it was a blessing to have you on the show. So thank you for hanging out with us. But with that being said, that was something that was put in from birth, from day one, coming out. And a lot of people was like, you're too young to have a kid. Well, not really. Her biologically, my mom was old enough to have a kid. I'm here. But now comes the maturity. Those are the things that, there's no book though. You can have a person, it's funny because, and we're going to hit that because I was a foster parent and I've had foster kids. And I remember all the classes they made me go through to be a foster parent. And I was sitting there, and the more I go through it, I'm like, to be a parent, you just need to have sex. You didn't have to go through any class. No one prepped you for it. You can say where were your parents and all that if you're too young, but there's no classes for it. You just go. Now, to be a foster parent, you got weeks and weeks and weeks of classes and background checks, and they got to make sure your house is this and all your health is this. You got to have CPR. You got all these things to be a foster parent. But to be a parent, just have sex. That was all it takes. And that was it. So that was one of the things that when it came to me, here comes this baby. So you can sit there and act like you didn't have it. Well, no, I'm here. Here we go. Now what we're going to do. And I believe they did a wonderful job. I believe my parents and grandparents on both sides, my aunts and uncles on both sides did a wonderful job getting me the foundation I needed to, grow as a kid. I mean, like I said, I grew up in the DMV, the Washington, D.C. area, and we wasn't rich, but we wasn't poor, if that make any sense. We wasn't rich, but we wasn't poor. We got by. There wasn't a day that I was wondering where the meal was going to come from. There wasn't a day that I wondered, if I was going to have a roof over my head or clothes on my back or the ability to get medicine when I was sick or go see a doctor or any of those things. I never went through that. I didn't feel that. I don't know what that's like. So I've been through a lot of things, but that wasn't one of them. But like I mentioned, my birth certificate had Negro on it. That was my race. That's what they put me down as when I was a boy, of course, but it was Negro boy. So that's where we were as a country at that time when I was born. And that's where the journey began. So, you got to start thinking like, oh, wow, I've never, but that's where I was. That was 1970. So now growing up, you think most people don't go to school till they're 4 or 5 years old. I did the early childhood development. I was in like a daycare, more like school, at least by the time I was 3. So by 3 years old, I'm already going full day to school and all of that stuff. And you know how when you're in daycare, they make you take the naps and but they were teaching you your ABCs and that. And I believe that was like, whew, I can't even remember what shows was out. I don't know if it was a Sesame Street yet. I mean, I have to look those things up because I got to go back. But I remember watching things like Electric Company and Captain Kangaroo and Bozo the Clown. I remember watching those type of shows, and you would get a lot of your knowledge or information from those type of shows. And it was, it was one of those things. I remember having to change the channel, like turning the knob and not a remote. Matter of fact, I was the remote. As soon as I learned how to get up to the TV and change the channel, come here. And I'm coming and you barely walking, but you can go up there and change that channel. And it's like you became the remote because there was no such thing as a remote. I remember the telephone being in the house and the cord, rotary. If those who can go back with me on that, we had a rotary phone. So you had to actually dial the number. Instead of pushing the buttons, you actually dial the little wheel. So, and the funny thing is you be getting to the last number and don't go all the way, trying to get an 8 or whatever and don't go all the way, and now it's a 7. And it's like, wow. So those are the things that I do remember. But we had a good life. We had, like I say, the roof over our head and the clothes on our back and food on the table, and the laughter and the fun and the joy. Those are the things that we did. That was the things that I was involved with, and I was too young to participate in any after, would say, any sports and anything in the neighborhood. But my uncles and my aunts, they would take me out and show me little things even at 3 and 4 years old. So by the time I was old enough to participate, I won't say I was ahead of the game, but I knew a lot of that stuff, and I was, it was like natural to go out there and do the play. But what you do miss from that is, like I said, I was the only one in my generation. So for 2 years, at least 2 years, so there was nobody else to play with. I mean, we had neighbors, but in the house, everybody was just older. Everybody was at least 10 years or more older than me. So I found myself always like being around old folks or older folks, teenagers and or higher. So you had some people say, you had an old soul, because you were always around older people. So, there was no kids. Now I had all the toys you can imagine. I mean, from both sides. Back then, they had the G.I. Joe, the Evil Knievel, the $6 Million Man. So those are some of the toys I was playing with, but they were the real toys. That what you see now, like those things are like maybe 4 inches tall or whatever now, if that's tall. When I was growing, it was like 12-inch action figures. And I remember playing with those things. I remember playing, yeah, you by yourself, like my Tonka trucks. My Tonka trucks were made of real steel. Those things will wreck a car now because that's what they were made. The Lego logs and all that stuff that we had it's like, wow. I mean, it was so cool. If I knew now or knew then what I know now, I probably would have boxed all those toys, but then I wouldn't enjoy playing with them. I wasn't, even though we had canines, we had dogs in both homes. I was really not a dog lover. I really wasn't. So that, it was just, they were here before I was here and we had dogs, but I wasn't that person who, um, would like chase out there and like, yeah, I want a dog and this, and that just wasn't me. Um, I've had rabbits. I remember at that age I had a rabbit. And it was funny. I remember my grandmother on my mom's side coming home one day with the rabbit, and I'm like, what the heck? And what happened was she said she was stopped at a traffic light, and the bunny just hopped right up to the car. So she opened the door, he hopped right on in, and he came on home. So, and I had a rabbit it was a white rabbit uh, for uh, for I think 2 years. I want to say, so it was just all those different things that you go through. I remember being at that time in Washington D.C. You had the Washington Redskins was a football team, and they're now the Commanders. There was a basketball team called the Washington Bullets that played in Landover, Maryland at the Capitol Center, which is not there anymore. You had the Washington Capitals, and they also played at the Capitol Center. And there was no baseball team in Washington, D.C. Now they have the Nationals, but there was no team then. And so we would have to travel to Baltimore, Maryland to watch the Orioles play if we wanted to watch a baseball game back then. And it's funny because that was like the longest road trip ever getting to Baltimore. Right now, it's I do it all the time from where I live at and where I got to, where I work at. But back when I was younger, it was like, wow, we getting in the car and we're going to Baltimore. Yeah. So, but it's just one of those things where, you don't think, I remember being in the station wagon And we had a station wagon with the wood panel. So if you remember that back then, had like it looked like wood paneling on the side of your station wagon. And being a kid, you're all the way in the back. You're the last, you're in the last uh, seat in the back, facing the opposite way. So you're looking out the back of the car while the car is moving forward. The golden arches, even though they was there, that was like if you got to go to McDonald's, that was a delicacy. That was like, holy cow, we're going to McDonald's. It's not like it was like it is now. Gas stations was self-serve. You had the self-serve line, and then you had the full service line. And if you went to the full service line, the attendant came out, pumped your gas, wiped off your windows, checked your oil. They did all of that stuff in the full service line. But I remember those things. I remember that as a kid. I remember going to my first drive-in movie, and I can't even remember what we watched, but I had to be about 3, 4 years old and going. But I remember some of the cartoons, and then I can't remember what the movie was, but just being at the drive-in, you know, those are some of the memories from being 2 and 3 years old. But that was part of growing up, and that's part of what Big Jack was about. I did those things. I did those things. I wasn't privileged. We didn't have it like that, but at the same time, we we had a lot of love, compassion, um, ambition, and we had some heartaches. Because, like I was saying, my mom, my grandfather on my mom's side, killed in Vietnam, and when he was in an ambush, and he had already wrote home that he was on his way home, and that makes it even worse because of the fact that he had already wrote home his whole unit, because he was a staff sergeant, so he was over, and they were in an army unit, so they had tanks and things like that. But his whole unit, except him and his driver, made it back, and they asked him and his driver to stay for to receive a medal. And during as they were traveling to get to the medal ceremony, so he can receive the medal, they were ambushed and he was killed. So that's part of what I grew up. So now my mom and my grandmother, who's now a widow, and my mom who lost her dad, and now here come this new kid. And so you're still trying to learn the survival of being, now where you went from a two-parent household to and now a single parent who's raising at that time 5 kids, because she had 3 girls and 1 boy, and now here comes this baby. And where a lot of people would have given up, a lot of people would have thrown in the towel. I can't take it. It didn't go out like that. So, if I'm giving anybody a shout out today, and I see you okay for putting it out there, and I see Feline Gammon, if I'm giving anybody a shout out, it's to all of the family members that helped me get through that part of my life, because I know to a lot that's a burden. And other than my mom, none of them asked for me. And I ain't gonna say my mom asked for me, but she never called me a mistake. She never said she made a mistake having me. And I do my best not to put too much on her. And I wasn't the easiest kid to raise. I can tell you that right now. And I had some moments. I had some times, especially when I got into middle school, and we're going to talk about that, even in elementary school. But I wasn't the best student, and I've done some bad things as a kid growing up, and we're going to talk about those things. But this is just the beginning. of me sharing my story, of me walking you down the life of Big Jack Storytime. And you could be asking, if you're just popping in here, why and who cares? And you could keep going, keep scrolling. You don't have to stop. But this is for those who are supporting the Iron Sharpening Iron Universe, the Big Jack Storytime. That's me. My channel, have already, subscribed or already a member. So this is what this is for. I'm doing this for them so that they can know who I am. And when you start tuning into the shows, you can say, I know a little bit more about Big Jack Storytime. And I've already mentioned my name, but, it's Bill Jackson. So that's me, Bill Jackson, Big Jack Storytime. And the Big Jack came from playing ball. Me playing high school football is like, here come Big Jack. Because, I was a running back or fullback when I played. And I could tell you this, you really didn't want to, if you could avoid it, be in my way when I was running the ball. Because I was about that life then. Running people over was part of it. So, and I was able to take that all the way to, Division I college and play at that level, and it was on full scholarship. But we're going to talk about that. We're going to get down that road. I'm excited for those who was able to hang out with me today. I'm excited for you coming in and listening to me. I know you got a lot of things to do with your life, and you don't have to stop by here. I don't have a set schedule for this. This is a random, let me pop up here and see, how it's going to go. But I'm going to put a schedule together because I want you to know who I am, but I also want to share who I am. And we're more than just a show. We're more than just a channel. We're a movement. The Iron Sharpening Iron Universe is a movement. And all the spinoffs that come from the Iron Sharpening Iron Universe, we're all movements. And I'm excited about all the things we got in store come January 2026. I still got 4 shows left. I'm going to do one tonight. We got a wonderful show tonight. Craig, was it Goodall? Goodall is going to be on the show. I want to make sure I get his name. I'm sorry, Woodall. Craig Woodall. So I apologize, Craig. He's going to be on the show tonight on the Iron Sharpening Iron Show, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. If you have not ever tuned in to Ask a Bee, that is Monday through Friday, 12 noon Central Time. And that show is the producer of the Iron Sharpening Iron Show, Boss B TV, is the host of the Ask a Bee show. And then on Sundays, of course, the Gentleman's Journal, the Iron Sharpening Iron Show, and the Voices of Resilience, or the Coach's Corner. And then the last Sunday of the month, we do have the Gentleman's Journal. Now, how the Gentleman's Journal work, we put 5 men up on the stage, or 4 plus myself, and we discuss topics that men go through and different things. So if you haven't, even had a chance to check that one out, make sure you go and see you go on the channel, you go to the playlist, and you'll see the Gentleman's Journal. You don't want to miss that. At the first Wednesdays of the month, we do a show called The Ladies' Diary, where there's 5 women on the panel. I come off the stage completely, and they discuss topics that women are going through. Excuse me. The last Saturday of the month, we have a show called We Be Jamming Live. And We Be Jamming Live, we take musical artists that's out here grinding every week, every day, and we put them on a YouTube platform, and we play their videos or interview them personally on the show. So if you haven't had opportunity, the last 2 months has been awesome. We've had the Curtis family, and then the Eat the Cake band was also as special guests on the We Be Jamming Live. The last Wednesday of the month, we do a show called The Battle of the Sexes. and that's where we put 3 men and 3 women, and I'm in the middle, and I put on a what they call a referee jersey, and just referee this battle between the men and the women. It says, Joe, what's up, Joy? Joy of fish keeping. Hey, how you doing? And what's up? And I know if you got fish keeping going on, then you must be in the right community with Mexicali and Aquafunk and all of them. So thank you for popping in and saying hey. And I see what's up, man. So, but I see who he is now. So there you go. So welcome and welcome and welcome. So welcome to the Iron Sharpening Iron. I see who he is now. I got you. So thanks, sir, for hanging out with me. Yeah, this is a new. I'm not even gonna say it's a show. It's more me telling who I am. You're out in New York City, all right? Yeah, shoot, New York City. I love that city. I love being out there. I won't catch the subways in New York, but I love being out there. So my wife's like, "You always act funny when you get on the subway." I just don't feel New York City subways. So bear with me on the subways. But it's good to see you, and thank you for hanging out and popping in. And if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. And I know who you are 100%. And because of that, I will have to go in there and give you your blue jacket. So remind me, Joy, to make sure I give you your blue jacket for sure, because you definitely have earned it. So he's a nurse. I did not know that. I didn't know you was a nurse by profession. So hey, I hope I don't need a nurse when I'm in New York City. But I know I'm like, you need one if you get on that subway, because it'd be some things on there that I'm like, no, no. So I'm like, I'm okay. But I love the city. So anyone that's out here that has never been to New York City, I recommend that you go to New York City. You'd be amazed of all of, especially going down Broadway and seeing different on and off Broadway plays, and the restaurants, and just the atmosphere. You're talking I've been there for the Christmas tree lighting, and we've been there to watch different sporting events and all, and the city is just, it is what it is. The city of lights. Where it's bright, and you're looking at the billboards and the skyscrapers, and all of that goes on in New York. So take away the subways. Take away the subways. I'm all about New York. I love New York. Matter of fact, I got my goddaughter is out there now. She's at St. John University. So we always got to now make plans because she's out there studying. So we want to make sure that she's safe. And for me, it's just a Amtrak ride away. So it's a very short. We get on the Amtrak. It's a short trip, and you go right on up there. So that's one of the cool things about the East Coast and where I live at. You can catch the train up and down the coast a little bit, and it doesn't take long to get there. But thank you for popping in. I apologize that I can't give you a jacket here because I'm on StreamYard, and there's no way I can link up to my YouTube from StreamYard to give you your jacket, but you've definitely earned it for sure. And thank you for hanging out with us. Didn't know you was a nurse, but hey, that's cool. That really is cool. But I just wanted to, we coming out here, we got the show going, the Big Jack Storytime stories, and it was just me sharing a little bit about who I am, just sharing a little bit about the things I remember as a kid, and I'm gonna walk you through my journey. I'm gonna walk you through, the heartaches and the the triumphs, when things went well and when things didn't go well, the injuries that I had, the successes that I had, the loss, that we've had as a family, and then even personal. Those are the things that we want to make sure that we hit all those buttons. He said, lived 30 years northwest of the city, moved back 10 years ago. to the city. They, always fun. Yeah, I can only imagine. I mean, we only almost lived up there once. My wife almost had a job with Syracuse, and I know that's not in the city, but we almost moved to the state of New York because of a job at Syracuse University. But I remember flying in. We was going to go see the Bodies exhibit in the city, in New York City, and we flew into Islip. And when we flew into Iceland, we already had our tickets and everything. But as we were catching the train from Islip into the city, we passed this billboard where like all the tickets and everything to see the body exhibit was like half price. And we had already paid full price. So I was like, man, we should have waited. But I remember, getting in and catching the train uh, into the city. And then, like I say, once you're on there, you're okay. I'm not, I don't scare easy, so it wasn't like I'm afraid to be on it. It's just the fact that it, some people just be doing some wild stuff, and I'm like, wow, you never what they call it, you'll never be. So I'm trying to think how to say it, unamused when you're on a train in New York City. You would never go 20 minutes without like, okay, because people be doing some weird and wild stuff out there. Say what it says, likely will move further south, retirement, not Florida, likely the Carolinas. I heard the Carolinas are nice, north and south. So don't know, you say the Carolinas, but don't forget the South, because I heard the South was pretty cool. I've never lived in the Carolinas or North or South, but I do have family that lives in Carolinas, and I've only heard good things about them. They get the seasons, which is cool, so you can get some snow, but not as much as the North, as you know. And at the same time, you can have it's the cost of living is not as bad. So a lot of people think that it's big cost of living, but it's not as bad in the Carolinas. So yeah, I would you would never catch me moving to Florida, but that's not saying that people that live in Florida are bad. It's just I'm not moving to Florida, but I could see myself living in North and South Carolina. When I was stationed, one time I was in my first duty station was in Georgia. So I was in Hinesville, Georgia, which is right off of I-95 outside of Savannah. So that's where I was first stationed. Boss B TV in the house. What's up, boss? How you doing? Said never been on a train. Really want to someday. Great sharing, Big Jack. Yeah. Nah, you a train is one thing. A New York subway is totally different. Don't confuse those two. New York subways is like, wow. I mean, the only place I've heard, and I'm not even going to, is not here to try to shoot down New York subways, because that's not what this show is about. But only place I heard that was worse is Chicago. And I've been on New York. I've never been on a train in Chicago, but I've been on the train in New York. And I'm like, it takes a lot to say that you can be harder than that, because those, yeah. But anyway, thanks, Boss B, for being in the house. I said Florida is not the paradise they claim it to be. Like, come to Texas. No, I'm not coming to Texas either. So no disrespect to Texas, but I've been to Texas several times, and I've never said, you know what, I'm gonna pull up and this is where I'm going to live, and I've never felt that way ever. So I was able to get my YouTube up. So I'm gonna go ahead and give you your jacket, Joy. There you go. And let me see if I can do it. Da, 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 da. Sorry, there you go. Bam. There you go. Yep. You've earned it for sure. So thank you for popping in. But boss, I was just talking about, this is something that was mentioned to me that I've never shared really my story. I've never really went out and said, this is who a Big Jack story time is. And because of that, I wanted to walk everyone through my journey. We're still in the baby time. I haven't even got into school yet, but we're down in that. And some of the things I can remember, some of the things was awesome, and then some of the things wasn't so awesome. Some of the things I think I was spoiled. Like I said, I was the only one for 2 years, so everybody took care of me. Everybody, if I asked for it, I got it. And I know I did a lot of whining and complaining and all that other stuff. So yeah, without a doubt, I know I was a brat. I know 100% I was a brat. But you know, they made me that way. It wasn't like I came out a brat. They, giving me this and that, and just keep them quiet. So I know I was a brat. But then but when I started going to school, going to daycare, and then when my cousins was born, because it was funny, I was by myself. You asking me what state I'm in? I'm in Maryland. So I'm in the state of Maryland right now. Yeah. So that's what I said. The DMV, where I'm at, is right outside Washington, D.C., not too far from Northern Virginia. So where I live at right now is funny because I'm in a hot spot. And what I mean by a hot spot is I can drive 30 minutes one way and I can be in Pennsylvania. I can drive 30 minutes the other way and I can be in Washington, D.C. If I go 30 minutes south, I'm in Baltimore, Maryland. And if I go 30 minutes north, I'm in West Virginia. So I'm in that hot spot right there. So it depends on how I feel that day or that weekend. Like if it's a Saturday and it's a nice day and we're like, hey, let's go to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, I can just drive 30 minutes basically east and I can be in Gettysburg. If I want to go see the monuments in Washington, D.C. and things, I can drive 30 minutes west and I'm sitting in Washington, D.C. So, if I want to go to West Virginia, the wild and wonderful state, which I used to live in, I could just drive up to West Virginia. And then if I need to go, and I work out of Baltimore, so I'll mention that. So that's a 30-minute drive to get to Baltimore. So that's where I am. I'm right there in that hot spot, as I call it, because it depends on how you feel. It was funny when I used to live in West Virginia, I still worked in Baltimore. So it was an hour and a half commute for me to get to work. But every day and I did a lot of shift working. So I worked overnight and all. So in the morning, as I'm on my way home, I got to pass two rivers to get home. I had to go over the bridge, and over the bridge was two different rivers. They were sitting right side by side each other. I would stop every morning and go fishing in the river. I would stop on the bank, cast my rod, catch whatever I catch. I released, but that was my break between work and home, where I would stop and go fishing every morning. That was my way of breaking the monotonous, not taking my job home, and I would just cast and whatever I catch, and because I don't eat fish, so whatever I caught, I would release, and that's just how I do. He said, "That's cool. That's how I feel here. Not from several states. Have a lot. Okay, have a lot of options. That is pretty cool." So, if you're in a good spot where you can bounce around, so like even that train ride I was talking about going to New York, I gotta go right through Philadelphia on the train. So if you want to get off, you can go to Philly and chill out for a little while and hang out. It's funny because one time we did that. We actually had lunch at Penn University. So Penn University is right on the train line. You get off, but right next to Penn University, um, we walked and there was a restaurant there. When I walked in, what blew my mind was they had Kool-Aid. Kool-Aid, the drink, Kool-Aid. And I'm like, wow, they got Kool-Aid. And yeah, so you want cherry or grape flavor? And I'm like, there's no way that they're serving Kool-Aid. And they're like, yeah, they got Kool-Aid. So that was pretty cool that we're in Penn University, and we go to a little restaurant and they serving Kool-Aid. I've never been in a restaurant in my life that served Kool-Aid. And I thought that was so cool to have the Kool-Aid in there. So those are like those are the little things, man, that you remember. Now, of course, I wasn't a kid then. I was adult then, but This little stuff that you remember. Big Jack Storytime is who I am. This is my character. This is who I become when I'm on this show. But I've been many different things, and what I mean by that, I've worn a lot of different hats. I've worn a lot of hats in my life, and I'm excited about that. You know, I'm a son. Uh, I'm a brother. You know, I'm an uncle. Yeah, I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a grandfather. You know, I've been a pastor. You know, I've been a correction officer in my life. You know, I work for an airline. Um, I work for a casino. I'm a U.S. Army veteran. So many different stories and so many different things I've done. I work construction. I work for the post office. You know, so many different things. I even worked for a hotel once. So it's like, wow, you know, so all the different things that I've done in my life, I'm going to share. I'm going to take you right down that road with me, and we're going to follow it, you know, step by step. You know, I'm not that one. So you can, if you want to tune in, hit that notification button, and when I'm on, you'll know I'm on. But I'm not that one that's going to be up here doing a lot of silly stuff. And that's just not me. That's just not who I am. So I can't be somebody I'm not. I'm going to give you me, and you'll get me. And sometimes it's fun, and sometimes you're like, ah, you was boring. But I had a really good life, so I don't think it was boring. But at the same time, some of the stories, if I was to actually tell you, and people tell me a lot, you need to write a book. You need to write a book. I'm not that person that could probably put it in a book, but I can dang sure tell you up here on this stage because I love doing this. But if you haven't had an opportunity to watch the Iron Sharpening Iron show, if you haven't had opportunity to see Ask a Bee Monday through Friday, 12 o'clock Central Time, if you haven't had opportunity to see the Gentleman's Journal, the Battle of the Sexes, We Be Jamming Live, the Ladies' Diary, the Coach's Corner, Voices of Resilience, and coming in 2026, the Grow and Glow Academy, I'm telling you, you might want to hit that subscribe button. You might want to hit that notification bell, and you might want to come on and get on board because you don't want to miss all the stuff we got going on because there's a lot going on. This is not just a YouTube channel. 100% this is not a YouTube channel. And I'm not just your normal old person. Really, I'm not. We have a good time. You know, we really have a good time. I got an awesome producer, and I'm not saying that because they're in the chat right now, but Boss B has been doing an amazing job of producing all of these spinoffs. My co-host Walt Talks, awesome, 100%. And the team members, my teammates or my team members, Mama Lions and Boss B, What Walt Talks, it makes up the universe. And we're still growing. We got people that we haven't even put in yet. And they say, look at that. Say, build the man down there and say, bro, you act like y'all that. See, that's because you don't know me, because that's not how I act. Not one time did I even say that. So for you to even make that comment is telling you that you even listen to nothing I said. So you might want to back up a little bit, go check out a couple of videos, and then you'll know that's not who I am. So it's not an act. I'm not all that. I've never said I was all that. But I appreciate you for even saying that or even coming in, because that click and that comment only helps us grow. So thank you, Bill. And I'm a Bill myself, so I understand it. But no, I don't act like I'm all that. The only reason I've even doing this is because we've been doing shows for over a year, and we've highlighted so many different guests, and I've really never highlighted myself. So if I'm acting like I'm all that, and if that's how I'm coming across, it's not intentional, because I believe 100% we are stronger together. It's not about me, it's a we. So, bruh, take that somewhere else with that. I mean, I'm being for real. Take that somewhere else, because this is not even what it's all about. I'm telling you that right now. So, and if you think you're going to come up in here and bully me or even throw any mess at me, only tell you this, and that's for anybody, and that's who I am. You got to be ready to take it back. So I'm just letting you know. You ain't got to block him, B. Leave him alone. You ain't got to block him. Yeah, because you ain't messing with me. I am not the one. The 100%. Because I am who I am. If y'all remember Papa, the Sailor Man, and his little song, I am what I am. That's it. Because that's it. I'm Papa. I'm not Papa, but I am who I am. 100%. Big Jack is Big Jack. And you're right. We put on a character when we up here on the stage, and we do that for this show. But at the same time, it is what it is. 100%. But that's not who I am. So I'm gonna ask you, was that Build the Man? Because look, your name alone say, that's pretty cool, Build the Man. But click that subscribe button and tune in to some of the shows, and you'll see that that's not who I am. If you thought that's what I'm coming across, that's not me. 100%. 100%. So yeah. But I've already said that. So I'm gonna ask you to go back and review and look at this video because I already said where I'm from. But with all that being said, I thank you all because I wasn't planning on being on here too long. We do have a show tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time. We got a wonderful guest that's going to be on with us tonight. So looking forward to interviewing him. So without a doubt, if you haven't heard of him, that's my man Craig Woodall. He was on the Gentleman's Journal. But now we're going to actually have him as a guest on the Iron Sharpening Iron show. And you're going to really be amazed. So I'll tell you and ask you to tune in tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time, for the Iron Sharpening Iron show. We'll have Craig on with us, and he's going to he's going to tear up. I mean, some of the things that he got going on, being a veteran, an entrepreneur, a husband, a son, all of those things. It's going to be fun talking to him on the show. So I'm not going to hang around too much longer, only because of the fact that we do got other things to do today. I was inspired by the Ask a Bee show today to kick off this right here. One, it was brought to my attention that I hadn't done it. But the other part of it is, knowing that we have a lot of people in the universe that are working very hard to build this brand. And it's like, you need to get in the game and start building the brand too, because that's what it's going to take. That's exactly what it's going to take for us to be successful. And it's not a me being successful. 100% it's not a me. It's a we, because we are stronger together. If each one would just reach one, we can all grow and glow. So I thank you all for hanging with me for this little bit of time. And I ask you to tune in tonight. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the subscribe button. If you haven't hit the like button, hit the like buttons. And definitely hit that notification bell so you can see when we're going to be putting more Big Jack StoryTime stories out here so that we can hang out with you. I thank my man Joy of Fish Keeping out of New York City for hanging out with me, and I'm glad you got your jacket. You deserve it. Mexicali, thank you for coming through. Boss B TV, thank you for hanging out with me. And Bill the Man, 100%, my new fan, my new friend on YouTube. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can see who Big Jack Storytime is. Yeah. Yeah, and that's exactly what we're all about. If you want to see, come on and check us out. We're out there. We're going to be out there. So I appreciate it, bro. Thank you for subscribing. But until next time, we're going to ask you to stay sharp, and we talk to you later. See you tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time on the Iron Sharpening Iron show. Peace. And you got to really love this logo because my producer is awesome. See y'all later.